Hello students, this is Dr. Shabana Begum, Associate Professor in the Department of Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bangalore, presenting a lecture on the topic ozone layer depletion in relation to current environmental issues and its depletion process, consequences, etc. A topic pertaining to BSc Zoology 5th semester under the paper entitled Environmental Biology. Students, in my previous lecture under session 14, I had elaborated on the global warming and its causes and effects. Fine. So, once you know about it, that is under session 14. Now, let us move to the discussion about the ozone layer depletion. So, the content of this session being the ozone layer depletion and its depletion process, its consequences and effects or impact of ozone layer depletion on human health, animals, terrestrial plants, aquatic ecosystem and climate. The learning objectives of this session being to learn about the meaning of ozone, its depletion process, and to analyze the effects on human health, animals, terrestrial plants, aquatic ecosystem and the climate. So, let us start with the definition of ozone. So, you can mention ozone is a form of oxygen. It is called O3, like ozone layer is a thin band in the ozonosphere which blocks out sun's UV rays. That is, they screens out sun's harmful ultraviolet radiations and protects life on earth from the harmful ultraviolet radiations which emanate from the sun. Once again, you can mention ozone is an allotrope of oxygen. It is an unstable dark blue diamagnetic gas. It is present with maximum mixing ratio in the stratosphere at an altitude ranging from 15 to 30 kilometer. This region is known as ozone layer and it is present in the troposphere in a very little concentration of about 0.5 parts per million. So, as we all know, the atmosphere has 5 layers which are as follows. They are described as troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere, depending on the kilometers which are away from the surface of the earth. So, here you can mention the ozone layer is a region of Earth's stratosphere, which is a layer of atmosphere between 10 and 40 kilometer above us, where it acts as a shield to protect Earth's surface from the sun's harmful UV radiation. It absorbs UV radiation, preventing dangerous UV rays from hitting Earth's surface and harming living organisms. With a weakening of this shield, that is ozone shield, we would be more susceptible to skin cancer, cataracts and impaired immune system. Now, let us learn more about the formation of ozone layer. Ozone, that is O3, is chemically forming when UV radiation hits on stratosphere. The oxygen molecules dissociate into atomic oxygen, that is O2 plus sunlight will give O plus O. The atomic oxygen quickly combines with other oxygen molecule to form ozone, that is O plus O2 will give O3, that is the ozone. The thickness of ozone layer is measured in Dobson's unit DU, where 1 Dobson's unit is equal to 0.01 millimeter of the compressed gas at 0 degrees centigrade and 760 millimeters mercury pressure. That is 100 Dobson's unit is equals to 1 millimeter thick layer of ozone at 0 degrees centigrade and 760 millimeters pressure. The average thickness of ozone layer in stratosphere is approximately 300 Dobson's unit. When ozone level decreases below 200 Dobson's unit, the condition generally qualifies as ozone hole. So, once again in this particular PPT slide, you can know more about the ozone layer depletion. So, here the ozone layer depletion is nothing but the thinning of ozone layer present in the upper atmosphere. It happens when the chlorine and bromine atoms in the atmosphere come in contact with ozone and destroy the ozone molecule. One chlorine molecule can destroy 1 lakh molecules of ozone, and it is destroyed more quickly than it is created. Some compounds release chlorine and bromine on exposure to high UV light, which then contributes to the ozone layer depletion. Such compounds are known as ozone depleting substances, or just in short ODs. The ozone depleting substances that contain chlorine include chlorofluorocarbons, that CFCs, carbon tetrachloride CCl4, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, that is HCFCs, and methyl chloroform. Whereas the ozone depleting substances that contain bromine are halogens, methyl bromide, and hydrobromofluorocarbons. What are the various causes of ozone layer depletion? So, the ozone layer depletion is a major concern. It is a burning issue, and it is associated with a number of factors. And the main causes responsible for the depletion of ozone layer are as follows: the chlorofluorocarbons. Here, these are the main cause of ozone layer depletion. These are released by solvents, spray aerosols, refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. The molecules of CFCs in the stratosphere are broken down by the UV radiations and release chlorine atoms. These atoms react with ozone and destroy it. And even the unregulated rocket launches releases CFCs. The researchers say that the unregulated launching of rockets result in much more depletion of ozone layer than the CFCs do. If not controlled, this might result in a huge loss of ozone layer by the year 2050. So, nitrogenous compounds are also here the ozone depleting substances. The nitrogenous compounds such as NO2, NO, and O are highly responsible for the depletion of ozone layer. Natural causes there are also, and the ozone layer has been found to be depleted by certain natural processes such as sunspots and stratospheric winds, but it does not cause more than 1 to 2% of ozone layer depletion. finally, the volcanic eruptions are also responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer. Here is a slide which will give you an indication about the various ozone depleting substances and their sources. So, here the first table will give you the name of the ODS, that is ozone depleting substance, and its source. Then here chlorofluorocarbons, their sources are here refrigerators, air conditioners, solvents, dry cleaning agents, etc. Halons, they are released from fire extinguishers, carbon tetrachloride from fire extinguishers and the solvents. Then methyl chloroform is released from the adhesives and aerosols, and hydrofluorocarbons are the sources for which are the solvent cleaning, then fire extinguishers, solvent cleaning, once again is a repetition as such. And the list of ozone depleting substances in the form of pie graph is mentioned here, which are as follows. In the form of percentage, it is mentioned here: the solvent cleaning products 36.1%, sterilization will have 3% of it, then refrigeration and air condition 29.6%, foam products 14.3%, aerosols 5%, and other products including halons 12%. So, sources that harm the protective ozone layer are the ones we just mentioned. So, what are the various impacts of ozone depletion? So, ozone layer depletion has effects on human health, agriculture, plants, climate, etc. So, first of all, let us discuss about the impact of ozone depletion on the human health. So, consequences of ozone layer depletion on human health being: it causes sunburn, skin redness, lesions, etc. Later on, it causes skin cancer. It forms eye cataract, and advanced stages may lead to blindness and also asthma. Varieties of skin diseases are caused and leads to also mutation of human cells, particularly the skin cells, also reduces the immune system. So, once again you can see in the slide the effects on human health, where you can mention about the formation of more skin cancers, sunburns, and premature aging of the skin, then more cataracts, blindness, and other eye diseases. Impacts on agriculture. Plant growth, especially in seedlings, is harmed by more intense UV radiation. The major crop species are vulnerable to increased UV, resulting in reduced growth, then photosynthesis and flowering. The rice crops could be affected by ozone depletion. They depend on a type of bacteria which are called cyanobacteria for retention of nitrogen. So, cyanobacteria are very sensitive to UV light. So, the increase might kill them, depriving nitrogen levels for crop plants. The phytoplanktons in ponds and lakes form an important source of food for zooplanktons and herbivores like fishes or insects. The phytoplanktons are main producers in aquatic ecosystems. If the UV light increases due to ozone depletion, the phytoplanktons are destroyed. Enhanced UV light negatively affect the red and brown algae as their growth is retarded. The rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration increases the acidity of the water, making calcified organisms more vulnerable to solar UV radiation. The continued acidification of marine waters impairs carbonate incorporation in calcified organisms such as red and brown algae and also corals. So, the UV radiation effects at nanometers as mentioned here. UV radiation with the wavelength of 230 to 280 nanometer damages nucleic acid. It stops reproduction of cells by breaking apart the DNA bonds, and ozone production peaks at 185 nanometers of. Then ozone absorbance and destruction at 200 to 320 nanometer is reported. I just mentioned about the effects of ozone layer depletion on plants, where the physiological and developmental processes of plants are affected by UVB radiation, even by the amount of UVB in present day sunlight. Then you can even mention about the effect on animals. So, in domestic animals, UV overexposure may cause eye and skin cancers. The species of marine animals in their developmental stages, like the young fish, shrimp larvae and crab larvae, have been threatened in recent years by the increased UV radiation under the Antarctic ozone hole. The effect on materials, you can mention, it may cause some sort of degradation in case of wood, plastic, rubber, fabrics and many construction materials by UV radiation. The economic impact of replacing or protecting materials could be significant. Effects on the environment, you can mention about the strong UV rays may lead to minimal growth, flowering and photosynthesis in plants. The forests also have to bear the harmful effects of the UV rays. The effects on marine life. So, planktons are greatly affected by the exposure to harmful UV rays. These are higher in the aquatic food chain. If the planktons are destroyed, the organisms present in the lower food chain are also affected. So, the aquatic ecosystem, you can mention, for several aquatic organisms, UV induced negative effects are worsened by environmental pollution. UV radiation has a greater impact on aquatic organisms in sites polluted by crude oil and heavy metals such as cadmium, selenium and copper. As I just mentioned, phytoplanktons form the foundation of aquatic food webs. So, phytoplanktons are found in euphotic zone, that is, they survive till the light penetration occurs. The phytoplanktons are capable of active movements to enhance their productivity and their survival. Exposure to UV radiation has been shown to affect their productivity and therefore their survival because of less motility and orientation. The solar UV radiation has found to cause damage to early developmental stages of fishes, crabs, amphibians, shrimps, etc. Particularly, they cause decreased reproductive capacity and impaired larval development. Increase in the solar UV radiation could affect aquatic biogeochemical cycles, thus altering both the sources and sinks of greenhouse and chemically important toxic gases. For example, the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, carbonyl sulfide and other gases. The phytoplanktons exposed to UV radiation in ponds show the 25 to 30% reduction in growth and their chlorophyll content. So, reduction in fish productivity, which affect the people who depend on marine pollutants, is also reported. How about the effect of ozone depletion on the climate? And climate change affects the ozone. So, climate driven changes in environmental conditions may exceed the capacity of protective strategies of aquatic organisms to adapt to solar UV radiation. Some organisms survive in extreme UV radiation, while some other may die due to desiccation and extremes of temperature. Changes in climate occur due to the emission of pollutants and by which actually it may lead to unpredictable climate in future. So, now what about the mitigation or prevention of ozone layer depletion? So, you can mention following are some points that would help in preventing this problem at a global level. You can avoid using pesticides. Natural methods should be implemented to get rid of pests and weeds instead of using chemicals. One can use eco-friendly chemicals to remove the pests or remove the weeds manually, and minimize the use of vehicles. And the vehicles emit a large amount of greenhouse gases that lead to global warming as well as ozone depletion. Therefore, the use of vehicles should be minimized as much as possible. So, the continuation of prevention of ozone layer depletion by use of eco-friendly cleaning products, and most of the cleaning products have chlorine and bromine releasing chemicals that find a way into the atmosphere and affect the ozone layer. This should be substituted with natural products to protect the environment. Then use of nitrous oxide should be prohibited. The government should take actions and prohibit the use of harmful nitrous oxide that is adversely affecting the ozone layer. So, people should be made aware of the harmful effects of nitrous oxide and the products emitting the gas so that its use is minimized at the individual level as well. Very interesting information here. The Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the year 1995 was shared by Paul J. Crutzen, Mario Molina and Sherwood Rowland for their work in atmospheric chemistry, particularly concerning the formation and decomposition of ozone. Another important aspect related to the ozone layer, that is its protection, is the Montreal Protocol. Actually, the Montreal Protocol is the international treaty on protection of ozone layer from the ozone depleting substances and to phase out its production and consumption by 1st of Jan 2010. This treaty came into force in 1987, which was ratified by 197 countries. India became its signatory member on 19th June 1992. So, it was designed to stop the production and import of ozone depleting substances and reduce their concentration in the atmosphere to help protect the Earth's ozone layer. Under the original Montreal Protocol agreement, developed countries were required to begin phasing out CFCs in 1993 and achieve a 20% reduction relative to 1986 consumption levels by 1994 and a 50% reduction by 1998. So, the outcome of the study, finally, the ozone layer is a thin part of Earth's atmosphere that absorbs almost all the sun's harmful UV light. Ozone holes, they are popularly names for areas of damage to the ozone layer. So, the ozone depletion, when chlorine and bromine atoms come into contact with ozone in the stratosphere, they destroy ozone molecules. One chlorine atom can destroy over 1 lakh ozone molecules before it is removed from the stratosphere. So, ozone can be destroyed more quickly than it is naturally created. The ozone depletion increases the amount of UV radiation that increases the rate of skin cancer, eye cataracts, and genetic and immune system damage. We can protect the ozone layer by not using HCFCs, CFCs as refrigerant. The Montreal Protocol is the international treaty on protection of ozone layer, and this treaty came into force in 1987, which was ratified by 197 countries, and India became its signatory member on 19th June 1992. September 16th is designated as the World's Ozone Day to commemorate the signing of Montreal Protocol on that day in 1987. Nations around the world met to begin formulating a global plan. So, Montreal Protocol is signed to reduce or eliminate the use of CFCs. So, with this I will just end my talk, and here are few multiple choice questions related to the ozone depleting substances as well as the ozone depletion. The first MCQ is, the good ozone is found in the, options are stratosphere, ionosphere, troposphere and mesosphere. The answer is option A. Second question, the main cause of ozone hole and its depletion is A. propellants, B. foam blowing agents, C. halocarbon refrigerants, and D. all of these. So, the answer being the option D. The third question, in which sphere ozone layer depletion is found? So, options are ionosphere, stratosphere, lithosphere and none of these. So, here the answer option is B. Fourth question, this is not the consequence of ozone layer depletion. The options are malignant melanoma, skin cancer type, B. increased UV radiation, C. tides, and D. cyanobacteria sensitive to UV rays and would be affected by its increase. So, the answer is answer C. The fifth question, UV rays is higher in summer as, options are during summer ozone is more in the atmosphere, B. sun is busy in summer especially, then C is sun is closer to planet Earth, so UV rays have a short distance to travel and reach us, and D being none of the above. The answer is this option C. Next question, this is a major risk linked with extreme UV rays through the atmosphere as a result of ozone layer depletion. So, options are neurological disorder, digestive system gets damaged, increased liver cancer, and D is increased skin cancer. The option is increased skin cancer, that is option D. The Montreal Protocol is related to dash. Here options are food security, global warming, sustainable development, and the ozone layer depletion. So, answer is option D. Few references, you please go through them. Thank you.